Hello and welcome to the Creatives Off the Clock podcast. I am your host, Stephanie Whitehouse of SPW Design Media. Whether you are a creative person on or off the clock, we are so much more than what we create. On this podcast, I lift up stories, experiences, and passions of folks in our creative community and really dive into what caring and cultivating space for our creative self looks like. Thank you so much for listening. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing your space with me. I am so excited to just kind of jump in and get started with this very first episode. But obviously, you probably want to know a bit more about me and who I am and why I've actually decided to curate this podcast. So, gonna jump right in. My name is Stephanie. As you can tell from the intro, I use she, her pronouns, and I am an Enneagram 7, wing 8. For all the astrology fans out there, I am an Aries sun, Scorpio rising, and Sagittarius moon. Also an ENFP on the Myers-Briggs scale or test. And I have been a creator in some form or another since maybe, the early 2000s. We had a family computer. It was one computer that we all shared in the family room, and it was beige and boxy and everything. But the minute I discovered Microsoft Paint, I don't want to be dramatic and say that my life changed forever, but it was definitely a huge awakening, I guess, for me in terms of my creative practice and just, how I move through the world, how I started, wanting to design things and design things for others. It really started just out of a love for art and creating something from nothing. So I used to be kind of the designated person in my family to make cards, like for holidays and birthdays. And so I would make them and have everybody sign them and then, mail them off. And then I kind of got into doing that for a while, and I would just make, cards, greeting cards or whatever for whoever wanted. And then when I went off to college, I found the major that I really wanted to sink my teeth into. It's a media arts and design program, and that's where I really kind of got a love for web design and just like deeper of a love into digital design and marketing as well. So it's kind of fun to, just evolve from this basic fascination into what can I create, with my hands or on a computer from nothing, and then just kind of, understand all that goes along with it. So like how to market those things that you create, how to, solve creative problems with others. And so that's kind of where I am. I guess it's been a few years, but it wasn't official until maybe a few months ago is when I did my rebrand for my own business, which is SPW Design Media. And I do a wide variety of things like branding and logo work, web design, and one-on-one creative visioning. So there's so much that I love to do and help people with. But all of those services, shameless plug, can be found on my website, spwdesignmedia.com. But I just wanted to, create this space where we can just talk about our creative endeavors, but also how we can intentionally pursue them in a way that is life-giving. I know as creative people, sometimes, we don't want the thing that brings us joy to be a source of stress or work. And so I'm really just curious in talking to, my friends and colleagues and just seeing how they kind of adjust to that and explore what it means to live a creative life intentionally. And so I love working with different people of all, backgrounds and walks of life. I will say that's one of my favorite parts of being a designer, is just to like link up with so many different people in so many different fields, and they have different services that they're trying to provide, and they have different problems that we're trying to solve. So it's such a cool thing to hear about what folks do, how they got inspired to do it. And I just really want to lift up their stories and what they're doing currently as well. So I am so excited to share these interviews with people that I love and admire and respect wholeheartedly. And I hope that you all love hearing their stories and that you will support them in the work that they do. Of course, there's going to be episodes where we might want to delve into a certain topic that isn't strictly related to exploring creative processes or passions or guarding our creative time, or kind of moving away from tips and tricks and what do you do and all that sort of stuff. So I do want to be intentional about this also being a space for exploration and growth as I move through this landscape, because this is, something I've always wanted to do. The podcast, that is. I did create one, I guess 2 years ago, once the pandemic kind of hit in its, big, scary, beginnings where no one knew what was going on. But I think that was more me experimenting and wanting to see what it would be like to record episodes and release them and just kind of build out, whole campaigns that would help point towards episodes. But it was fun, and that's the main part, that, we're having fun with what we're doing, trying new things, not being afraid to try new things. And I really want to welcome that into this space as well. So just, kind of talk with people and hear what they're trying and hear what, what's challenging and also what lights people up inside. So I am so excited. I am still working on the next episode and that guest and getting things wrapped up, but I really hope that I can, share somewhat regularly with you the stories and just creative practices and wonderful energy that comes along with being a person that is creative, whether that's for work every day or just, your passion projects in your spare time. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you'll stick around, and I can't wait to share with you soon. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Creatives Off the Clock podcast. If you would like to continue the conversation, you can find me and more podcast content on Instagram at SPW Design Media. Henry Matisse says that creativity takes courage, so I wish you the space, time, and intention to be courageous, to be curious, and to make some creative choices. I'll see you next time.